Good day. My name is Attorney Anthony Reeves, and this is your Q&A Social Security Disability Today. Let's go ahead and get to your questions. First question in today, of course, is why can't anybody tell me what my chances are of winning my Social Security case, or better yet, how strong my case is? Okay, this comes up a lot, and usually what ends up happening is that people will come to me and they will throw out a few things. They'll throw out their medications, or they'll throw out their conditions, and they kind of want to get an idea of whether or not they think they have a good chance of getting approved. And I can tell you this gets kind of tough, because the reality is most people are not going to be able to tell you just straight off the shot based on the type of medications you have or the conditions you have, whether or not your case has a really strong chance of getting approved, because it's really just not that simple. It's not just focused on that condition itself. Social Security goes through a 5-step process, and you have to get through all 5 hurdles. So the reason why a lot of times you're getting frustrated because it seems like no one can tell you how strong your case is, it's not because anybody is ducking you or not trying to give you the information that you need. It's just because it's not as simple as just you saying, hey, I'm taking Prozac and Risperdal. What do you think? Or, hey, I have high blood pressure and I have a cervical fusion. What do you think? Because there's a lot more questions that go into whether or not your condition is strong enough to survive the disability process. Also, there's other things that come into play. Have you been working? Do you have any assets coming in, depending on the situation? Have you been using drugs or alcohol in the past? Have you gone back into the workforce? There are all these little variables that may affect your Social Security determination that, unless someone has a complete picture of your entire case, they're never going to be able to tell you just based on what you're telling them, meaning just the medications or your conditions, if your case is a strong case or not. I can tell you that a lot of times I get people who fill out free claim evaluations, and let me tell you why I tell people to fill out free claim evaluations, whether it be for my firm or for any other company, is because that gives them a good picture. So when they're asking you all these different questions, it's because they're trying to get as much information so that when you get on the phone with them or talk to them in person, they can answer that magical question for you, which is how strong your case is. Here's the other thing that's kind of difficult. The cases are done on a case-by-case basis. So one person or one judge may view the facts of your case a little differently than the other. So it may not be as clean and clear cut. Now, here's ultimately what most people want to know. They just want to know, is it worth their time? Do they have a chance? And I know this is the hard part, because you'll get people who will fight their cases all the way to a judge, appeal the judge's decision, it comes back, or they go before the judge the first time, or they go into federal court, and they just want someone to tell them, what do you think my chances are? Well, this is what I tell people, that if you're hiring a representative, and this is kind of difficult, if you're doing it on your own, unless you're intimately familiar with the Social Security regulations and you're intimately familiar with your medical condition in terms of what is good and what is bad, you're going to have a hard time getting a good idea as to what your chances are with your case. That's just being very blunt. I'm not trying to say that you can't do it on your own, but there's nothing I can tell you definitively in terms of you need to look here, you need to look there, you need to look here, because the reality is you have to look at the entire thing in order to know, are there any warts in your case? Are there any problem areas? If you're going to hire a representative, the reality is that they need the whole picture. They need to know, have you worked? Is there unemployment? Are there drugs? Are you gained weight? Have you not exercised? Have you not done what your doctors told you? Have you refused to take the medication? Because all of those things will give them an indication as to your chance. And let's be blunt here, and let me be very honest, because I get this a lot of times. Most people, when you tell them a chance, most representatives will say, well, everybody has a chance. You want to know, well, how good of a chance it is. And that's really what you want to know. You want to know, what is the likelihood of you being approved? The reality is that there are only a few areas where we can say there's a strong likelihood. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it depends on what your entire file looks like. So when you find yourself getting frustrated because you contact Social Security or you contact a representative and you just are not getting a clear-cut answer as to why your case or why they can't give you an idea of what your chances are, stop focusing on the chances. Listen to what they tell you in terms of what you need to do to strengthen your case. So take yourself out of this mindset of what are my percentages of winning and focus on what do I need to do to increase my chances of winning. Stay tuned right back, and when we come right back, we're going to tell you what we're going to be addressing on our next Q&A Social Security Disability Today. Would you like to hang out with me and get your Social Security disability questions answered live? Please feel free to send an email to legalgold@zoho.com and put Hangout in the subject line. Make sure you indicate what day and time is good for you to schedule a Google Hangout. Again, send an email to legalgold@zoho.com. Let's hang out and get those disability questions answered. On our next Q&A Social Security Disability Today, we're going to talk about when should I get a representative. You don't want to miss that if you're thinking about hiring someone in your area or around the country. I'm going to answer a few questions and give you some insight into that topic. Again, my name is Attorney Anthony Reeves, and this is your Q&A Social Security Disability Today.